I actually studied media production at university, which is far different, right, from construction.
Having worked in lots of different departments across the business has better enabled you as a business leader in the role that you now do.
I think we did things at the right time. I mean, if we use COVID as an example, we mobilized like it was a military operation.
Welcome to the How They Lead podcast, hosted by Benjamin Wade and Ben Stocker. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the world of high performance, showcasing examples of how individuals and teams can reach their full potential.
Together, they'll be inviting amazing guests who have defined or represented high performance in their own right, from world record breakers to individuals who have achieved first in their fields. The How They Lead podcast will showcase a diverse range of guests, each with their unique stories and insights to share. So join us as we challenge traditional ways of doing things, explore new ideas, methods and possibilities, and evolve.
Welcome to our latest episode of How They Lead. Today we have an exciting guest, Paul Munnelly. We're going to delve into your background shortly, and given your actual background, it looks like you're on holiday. So we appreciate your time for joining us while you're taking some relaxing time out of the business. Paul, could you just give us a quick background, where you've come from, what you do, and why we're fortunate enough to have you on our latest episode, please?
So, as you say, my name is Paul David Munnelly. I'm COO, which is Chief Operating Officer for a family business called Munnelly Group. There are 8 companies in our group currently. They obviously weren't always 8 companies in our group, but that there are now. We have a real strong, diverse leadership. We're essentially into technology and people and talent and skill sets around that. And I've been actually in the construction industry since 2008, which is quite a long time. I started quite young, and hopefully I'll be able to go another 15, 16, 17 years, maybe longer than that as well. I love the industry. I love what I do. And yeah, I'm excited to join you guys and talk about all the pros, cons, issues, tips that I wish I knew back when I first started. So yeah, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that's going to be the key here, to understand maybe a sector that we don't usually operate in. We've got some construction clients, but actually you're not construction first and foremost, are you? You're loosely related. So it might be worth just explaining what the group actually does, if that's all right.
So if there was an alien to come from outer space and I had to explain it, I would say that if you were to take a construction project and flip it on its head, everything that falls out would be the responsibility we would have. So not necessarily the framework or the steel or the cladding or the M&E, but all the supportive work on a live project. But then we also do a lot of work in the conceptual and the feasibility stage, planning, and then the life cycle of a building, not necessarily just a vertical building, any bit of infrastructure afterwards. So we work within roads, rail, energy, across quite a diverse number of sectors. But yeah, that's essentially what we do. So we do a lot of enabling supportive work to the constructors.
And were you always destined for this role as it's a family business? Was this your legacy that you always had to become a part of the business? Or how did you get into sort of construction right back at the beginning, sort of 16 years ago?
So I actually studied media production at university in Leeds, which is far different, right, from construction. But yeah. It's a family business. So my grandparents were in construction. My dad and family members set up the business back in 1977. So it was always essentially in our blood to do construction. I wanted to go slightly off-piste and get into media production. I really liked the production of music videos back then. This was before any social media or Facebook or TikTok or what you see now. And the short clips of music videos and production I was really into. I actually joined a TV broadcaster after university, and I really enjoyed it. It was high pressure work because it was live TV. It's actually quite similar to construction in many ways because there's a lot of parts moving at one time, and you just have to nail it and get it right. You can do a lot of planning, but you have to be quite reactive and reactionary. So I joined a broadcaster, and then I saw that the family business, which was, relatively sort of a small to medium-sized business at the time, could really do well by having some of those skill sets of media production, marketing, technology within the business and within the industry. So I joined back in 2008. I started off as a buyer, so I was buying materials and goods. And then I sort of moved into different departments, whether that's recruitment, technology, planning, tech. And yeah, here we are, sort of 2024, and I've sort of have had touches and influences in several parts of the business, which I'm really happy about.
And do you think that's been sort of testament to how well the business is doing now? The fact that you have been into each of those different departments and looked at the different ways of working in each of those areas. Had you not done that, do you think it would have taken a different journey or a different end result to where you are now?
I think we did well diversifying when we did. Traditionally, construction is quite set in their ways. So by having a fresh approach, I feel that did us well, and other companies that we work with have done similar. I think we did things at the right time. I mean, if we use COVID as an example, we mobilized like it was a military operation. You know, we always had PPE within construction, but the what was it, social distancing, safe spaces, all that stuff. I mean, it feels like it's
bringing it all back, isn't it?
But it
should have done was fun.
Yeah, and we did really well because the construction industry kept on going, right, during those times. So I think that really helps by being dynamic and robust, which construction tends to be. In regards to us and what we do, we have diversified in the right areas. We have developed technology and embraced it. So I think all of those different facets have allowed us to evolve and evolve with the industry and hopefully be sort of pioneering in that sense.
And do you think that having worked in lots of different departments across the business has better enabled you as a business leader in the role that you now do?
Yeah, I think 100%, because I think with that sort of free range of role, and I've been very privileged to be that sort of in that sort of space, it allows me to say that I've done it, right? I've been there. I've worked the night shifts. I've worked the morning shifts. I've stayed up all night doing construction management plans. I've been there and I've done it. So when anyone's sort of maybe struggling or looking for a little bit of direction, I can say that I've had that. So I do think that makes a difference. But also just, you know, by having that optic, it's almost being quite sort of telescopic as opposed to microscopic. So you've got sort of a wider view of things. It allows you to sort of bring in talent and expertise from different areas and insights. So I think, yeah, if there is any induction of our people within the business, we make sure that they have a full scope of what everyone tends to do, not just necessarily what they do within their role and responsibility. So I do think it goes a very long way.
I like that. Telescopic, not microscopic. I'll write that one down. But how do you ensure within the business that people will actively go out and explore other roles and other areas of the business? Because quite often we get very task focused and we end up just doing the same thing day in, day out, and we don't actually have capacity to go off and understand what others on the team or within the business are doing. Do you have a way of working it when people are onboarded, they get shared around, or actively have to go and seek out different people in different departments?
Yeah, it starts with day one, joining us, joining the Munnelly group, whereby you have that induction period where you would be buddied up with someone to be able to lean on them and ask them questions, making sure that anyone that starts with us starts in the right way and has that full knowledge. And then secondly, communication, constantly communicating. We have our own essential social network within our business whereby people are using it to communicate what they're doing, any tips, where they found success, work-related forums, but we also have forums which are dedicated to things they may be interested in, which aren't work-related, like traveling or food or music, because, you know, you're spending a lot of time with people at work, more so than probably your friends and family. So it's worth getting to know them on a personal level, and having a digital forum for that works well, accompanied with any social events that we do or conferences that we do. So you try and cater for everyone, because not everyone is tech savvy or is outgoing on a face-to-face basis. So by having multiple channels works well for that.
Are there specific platforms that you use, or is that an internal platform? Is there something that you'd recommend for anyone listening who's looking to trial this out?
It's an internal platform that we developed, and it's It's essentially like a forum message board, but it's a bit more dynamic within that because you can post images, video, links. So it's you can almost use emojis and reactions to certain things. So it's really interesting. I'll share screenshots after this session. So,
yeah, it'd be really interesting.
What are the tangible results you see from that? So from encouraging across the board everyone to get to know each other on a deeper level and a more personal level, what are the tangible results you see from doing that?
So we've recently done a survey for our people around what benefits they would be interested in, because once again, COVID kind of changed things where it wasn't necessarily about pay. It's about, right, am I getting healthcare, or do I have more days for traveling or paid sick days? So we recently carried out a survey to our people to actually understand what they want, because, you know, I could easily say, well, actually, this is what I'd want, or this is what I think people would want, but it's better to have that engagement. So we did a survey, and actually the results were really, really interesting, whereby people do want potentially more holiday days, do want different ways of being rewarded. So that was a real tangible benefit. And once again, I don't think we would have achieved that through traditional methods of email or filling out a form. Completely anonymized, is people are able to do it on their phone because it's a lot more easier. People are on the go. So that would be a real success story in certainly recent weeks.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, isn't it? Because what you presume everyone will want and everyone will be really happy with, sometimes is very different to actually what they do want and how to get the best out of those individuals.
Yeah, I mean, everyone would probably say your pay rise, no one's going to set it down. But actually, if you take the time to understand what really motivates someone, you're probably quite surprised, as you alluded to. Yeah, it could be family, challenge, adventure. We run a really basic tool or exercise when we're helping some of our clients, and it's just a series of 60 different value cards, and we just asked everyone in the room to choose their top 5, and then we just showcase that amongst the rest of the cohort. And you end up with so many individual and unique characteristics and motivating values. And others just assumed it'd be money, or they wanted to get an expensive car. But there's like religion comes into play, doesn't it? Like health, wellness. And if the business isn't meeting those needs, you're instantly turning people off the unengaged workforce. It's such a quick win and an easy task to do. But most businesses don't have the time, capacity, or know how to do it. So it's quite refreshing to hear that, yeah, that was so beneficial for you.
Yeah, I mean, people may Google it, but actually the best way to find out what people want is by asking them.
We find that it leads to some of your conversations as well, building those relationships internally. You've then got a common thing to talk about, haven't you? It breaks down those barriers, builds up the trust, which is the cornerstone of the high-performing teams that we work with as well.
Paul, I'm really interested in the family dynamic and working and leading family members and some of the challenges and benefits to that.
Unless it's really awkward, and then we don't need to dig into it.
No, it's fine. I mean, look, I think having family a part of the business is incredible. It comes with a level of honesty, which you may not get, essentially, with people that aren't necessarily related. But it's not just necessarily us, our family. We have people working in other families working with the business as well. So we have a referral program whereby they can recommend their family member, their friend, their neighbor. For someone to actually want to recommend a family member or friend must show that they trust in the business, or that the business does bring value. So that's really good for us. In regards to my own personal development with family, I've learned, I mean, my father probably would be, well, in fact, definitely is my number one mentor. So for me to work closely with him for so long, and him to be able to pass on knowledge and challenge me, I am really lucky for that. But also my sister and my brother are in the business, my uncle's in the business. So actually quite a widespread extended family that are also in construction, which is really, really good. I love carrying the flag and flying the flag, and hopefully carrying on that legacy.
And I guess the obvious question that leads on from that is, what is your leadership style? And is it similar to your dad, your father, or are you different but you complement each other? Or have you had to adapt?
I think leadership has just evolved generally. If we were to compare it to football, right? So you have Sir Alex Ferguson. He they always say about sort of hairdryer treatment, and he was a manager, maybe not so much a coach on the football pitch. But then you have people like Jurgen Klopp and Pep who are essentially one of the team. They're on the training pitch. So I feel that management and leadership has just generally changed throughout the generations. So there's those qualities, but then also the qualities that I would like to bring would be that fresh approach that, the most dangerous thing that anyone could ever say is that's the way we've always done it. I really don't like that. And I feel that we should challenge maybe the norms and the traditions and really broaden our horizons in that sense. So that would be a quality that I feel and hopefully that I do instill in just question things and challenge things in the right way, not necessarily in the wrong way.
I like that phrase when I hear it, only because it means that there's so much we could dig into and potentially change or support with if someone's stuck in their ways and doesn't want to change, because it's always been done like that. So yeah, it's a good expression in some ways, because it means there's so much we can look into and try and support with.
And it's really refreshing to hear as well, because it would be easy to stay in the business and manage in the same way as you've been mentored to do. So actually the importance of bringing that fresh approach, and then for the new generations that are coming through the business, demonstrating and role modeling that, and then bringing through that innovation and those fresh ideas. It's really important.
And what would you say your style is? If you're going to sum it up in one sentence, someone's joined the business and just asked you in the interview, what's your leadership style? How would you can that, or what would be the sentence or the definition of your style?
Well, the three values of our business are trust, collaboration, and innovation. And I would say my style would mirror that also. I want to trust in what we're doing and our people, and I want that back as well. I want to collaborate, and as I said about those communicative tools, we must collaborate as much as possible. And I also want to innovate. I would love to be one of the innovators within the industry, and I would love our business to do the same. We're working on things around AI and robotics, which I think will be really groundbreaking for the industry. So to be, as I said, pioneering in that would be great. But if I was to sum it up in one sentence, it would be 3 words: trust, innovative, and collaborative.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, and you can hear that coming through in how you've been talking and the topics you've covered. You can really see those values that you role model.
And it out as well.
Yeah.
I think the trust is a great element there, and by working your way around the different departments, that instills that trust and gives you that solid foundation. So you can see that, cascading through. We're advocates of self-leadership, but quite often, if you're not in a direct leadership role, you still influence others. So followership comes into play there. And I think for me, that'd be a great question in terms of how has your father with Dad enabled you to lead and he become your follower and support you with that family dynamic? And he's obviously maybe traveled through the company before you. So how does the dynamic work there with him coming to follow you sometimes and you following those around you as well?
I think there's a group of us within our leadership who we all tend to follow each other. We will book in time and just sit and talk about things. Nothing's off the table. If there's any concerns, any issues, or anything we're working on or innovations, we do that. So we're doing a lot of listening and a lot of collaboration. In regards to CEO leaders essentially becoming followers, I feel that there's just naturally that happens. I do it, others do it in the same way. We have a lot of skilled and talented people within our organization that are essentially specialists in what they do. Whilst we touched upon earlier how I've worked in different areas and run different departments, the level of quality of people we have in now far exceed where it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. So I think you naturally do that, but then also you have to be confident in your convictions that if you are making a decision as a director or a leader, that you feel it's the right one. People make mistakes and, fail fast. But as long as, you fail 5 times, but get up 6 times, that's key. So, there's a level of trust in that. So we instantly become followers through trusting those specialists.
It sounds like delegation work come quite easily to you, and especially as the senior leadership team. Everything you're saying And it builds up to the fact that you can give control to others, and you've got the trust to enable others to try things out, fail fast, and potentially wouldn't get the blame for it. Or it's a group effort. Is that right within the business and within the way that you operate as well?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it was hard for me to get to that point of delegation, whereby I was very much, if I wanted done, do it yourself, and that's quite yeah. And it's just, by the time you've explained or trained, you could have had the project completed. And that's quite a construction thing, whereby a lot of leaders within construction, they win the work, they price the work, they deliver the work, they then invoice the work, and then they chase the outstanding debt. And we have to, as an industry or as construction leaders, not be afraid to either outsource or delegate or lean on people. And, certainly at the beginning of my career, I felt that I was trying to do everything. And in doing that, it became a bit of a bottleneck. So being able to delegate is key, not micromanage, trust, and allow people to develop their own skill sets and train them. So it is so important, especially as we have quite a few companies and a lot of moving parts. It should be a case of you can rely on that person doing that job. And it's like in any team, right? It's like, if we compare it to Formula One, for instance, whilst you may have the driver in Lewis Hamilton, you've still got the people back at the factory producing the aerodynamics. You have Toto Wolff making decisions in regards to when the pit stop should come into play, those changing the tires. It's not just a one person sport or team. Everyone is doing a job and you're relying on them to do their job. So that's so important.
And what was the light bulb moment? Because many listeners will be thinking, that's great, I'm in the same position, I want to be able to give more trust and delegate, but I don't know how to. So was there something that you can remember back and you thought, that's it, this is what I need to do, or this is how I need to change my approach?
Yeah, I feel it just got to the point where there was just not enough hours in the day, and I was trying to make the hours in the day, but then I felt that actually something's got to give here. And I was traveling a lot, up and down the country for work. So it was really impacting. This was pre-COVID. COVID essentially did kind of reset things in many ways and made people appreciate things in different ways. But there was, I can't actually remember the exact time, but I just knew it was unsustainable. We were sort of running I was managing director of one of the businesses, as well as being a managing director of another business. And it was, we just had to create a leadership team and an ethos at the business that allowed it the growth.
And did you put anything in place almost at the lower levels, or your junior emerging leaders, or even the teams on the ground, to make sure that the standards were still kept as high as you needed them to be, to relinquish that control and empower people? Because there must be quite a change there, or at least for you to review your processes, because that's quite often the issue, that those processes aren't in place.
Yeah, I feel that within direction of any business, there is an expectation that you communicate to 2 people, they communicate to 4 people, so a trickle-down effect, right? When we developed this platform of communication, the CEO or the COO or CFO would be posting within this, and the boots on the ground are able to interact and engage. So you kind of ensure that interaction engagement happens a lot quicker without having to rely on that trickle-down effect where information may get lost along the way, and it then diluted, it comes into its most simple form, or perspective changes on information. So that was a real game changer for us, so that people that are starting out maybe in junior positions have a direct line to the people that have been in the business for 45 years. So that was a real game changer for us, and I would highly recommend it for everyone by creating that engagement.
And how do you ensure on a platform like that people are being really honest, and that you are hearing what people are really thinking, rather than people typing what they think you want to hear?
Well, there is a danger of that people are maybe engaging in a way which shines the best light on them may not be the most honest, but providing it you're honest, I would self-assess myself on there thinking, if I launched a product, I would say, or a project, I would say, really like this, but actually I'd probably do this better next time. What does everyone think? I'm encouraging that honesty. No one's perfect, and there have been times that we've done a project which we would have probably done it slightly better if we would have, or different if we were self-reflected. So putting yourself out there, being honest yourself, I feel does encourage a level of honesty back.
That's another question, if that's right. We've got a couple of construction-based clients, and other sectors as well, that they don't often have the capacity or time to do that self-reflection or a project debrief or a wash-up. Is that something that you actively make sure happens, or would you still say that that's an area for development, or is that critical to this whole growth process, having the time to reflect and debrief?
As an industry, we're terrible for it, whereby a project finishes and we don't necessarily look back and think about how we do it better. We essentially just repackage and repeat. And it's because the industry is so fragmented, from the design stage right through to delivery stage to handover. But if we can tie in all of that information, then we should be able to look back and think about, right, how do we do things better, and that self-assessment. So I don't think the industry is there yet, but I know it's something that the industry wants, because we do want to improve on things, whether that carbon footprint or processes or speed of delivery. I know we do it within health and safety. We're constantly looking to see what we could do better around health and safety. But certainly productivity is probably an area where there should be more focus on.
And did you use a specific process or a platform to enable that debrief to occur, or the wash up once a project's completed?
Well, I think what's important is face-to-face interaction. Whilst we're speaking now and, I'm miles away, but we can have these conversations, nothing beats face-to-face interaction. So once the project's completed, essentially just blocking out time, laptops away, phones on airplane mode, and actually just discussing things on a round table. Nothing beats it. It's the most valuable thing. So we make sure that we do that often, regularly and often, with any project, process, products that we're launching.
It sounds like it's been a perfect trajectory so far. I mean, you're destined for great friends. Is there anything that didn't quite work that you are able or want to discuss? Because it'd be great to hear. Actually, things don't always go perfectly. You've done amazingly to get to where you are now, but was there anything that you'd say, watch out for, or these are the pitfalls when on
those really leadership challenges?
Yeah, I think that, look, there's no denying that it's not always an easy journey. You have to put the work in, right? And the only place that you would find success before work is in the dictionary. You have to put the hard graft in. What I would say is where it doesn't go right is if you think that you're onto something, whether that's launching a product or a project or a service, instead of being too proud to say, actually, no, this isn't going to work, or it's not the right time, because we've done things where we put a lot of time, effort, investment into it, and we probably knew at some point that actually we need to deviate. And we didn't, right? And our pride just ensured that we're going to make this work no matter what happens. But at that point of knowing that this might not work or isn't going to work, actually doing that, and it's a brave thing to do, and you have to put your pride aside, but that would certainly be something that I would say for anyone listening, that don't be proud to say, actually, this hasn't worked,
And you yourself, but also you need those around you to support you and stand up and actually trust that if they challenge you, it's going to be taken the right way and the intent is there. So I think, in terms of that followership as well, having the right people around you who aren't afraid to challenge because they know that everyone has the right intent and it's a common goal.
It loops all back to that trust, isn't it? And building that trust and as a core value of the business.
Yeah.
It starts right there.
Yeah, what you don't want around you, if you're building a team, is just yes men and women. Do not want that, because that doesn't help in any way, shape or form. You want people that can play devil's advocate or can challenge, or not necessarily doing it just for the sake of doing it, but actually can see the wood from the trees in that sense. So that's really important when building a team.
And how do you ensure that happens? Then one of the last sort of questions I can think of is, if I was to come join a senior leadership team and I look into the boardroom and there's siblings, cousins, uncles, fathers, yourself, that is such a close-knit team already. How do you invite someone to the team and make sure that you bring them up to the level, or you come down to that person's level and take them on that trust journey? Because that's going to be pretty difficult and a challenge a lot of people see.
Yeah, look, I feel like there's obviously a stigma when it comes to it, sort of family members in the business, but I want to ensure that everyone is approachable and that we're all on the same level. I don't like the idea of hierarchy in a sense. Whilst some people may have more responsibilities than others, it should be a case of being open door policy where someone can come and actually say, I don't necessarily agree with this, or I think we could do this better. So ensuring that no matter who you are or what role you have or what job title you have, that there is that level of openness, and we are all essentially working for the same goal.
And it sounds like that's the key from you specifically, that you build that trust and rapport, you know the skill set and the motivated values of the team. It breaks down those barriers and allows people to challenge because they know the common goal, and it's communicated so effectively throughout the whole business as well. Sounds like that is the keys, or the several keys to success.
Well, I'd hope so. I'd hope that everything we do can tie back to those core values. So we make sure that we do as much as we can to create that and to allow that to happen.
And are you at the pinnacle of your sort of career at the moment, or I know you're venturing into technology and AI as well? Is this going to be a whole different shift? And it probably ties into a question about our West Peak moment for you, where you think you've reached the pinnacle or the summit of your career, only to find that there's a hidden one behind. Are you at that point now, or is there another example of your West Peak moment?
I feel like retirement for me is not even on the cards, even when I'm 75 years old. So there'll always be another summit. Once you think you've reached the summit, there'll always be another summit. With what we're doing in AI and construct AI, and look, people are scared of AI, right? But we've all been using it with Alexa and Siri and satellite navigation. So it's already there. So if AI can do that self-reflecting, and I spoke about the fragmentation of the industry, can actually tie everyone together, I think it can only be a plus. So I feel like it will be, or has been, quite game-changing for the industry. But, as you know, when I first started, internet was fairly in its infancy. We were doing things over fax. Email was just essentially starting off. So there'll be the next thing. There'll be robots and things like that. So do I think I've reached the peak? No. Do I want to reach the peak? No. Just keep on going and let's see where it takes us.
I love that. That's
great.
That's great. But can you give me challenges coming up for the future?
I mean, look, the UK needs to be confident, needs to develop, to invest. It needs to attract foreign investment. So that's quite key, but I'm kind of seeing signals of that happening. And I think, once again, the industry has been going through it, right? Because, everyone's feeling the hangover of COVID. So it's definitely getting there. There'll always be challenges. It's never going to be easy for anyone or for us. But, I enjoy those because you come out a better company or a better person once you've kind of gone through those challenges.
That's brilliant. I've loved listening to all of this, and I know that I'm just trying to count about all the different snippets and nuggets of information that you've given across from your experience, as well as your analogy about where success comes in the dictionary, and you like that. And then, very telescopic, not microscopic. I think this is a fact-filled episode. Anyone that you'd like to hear from? Maybe next time you're on holiday, you can listen back to some of these episodes. Anyone that influential that you'd like us to try and approach and get on as a guest that you'd like to tap into?
Well, I mean, I'd probably be setting the bar quite high if I said Elon Musk, but
okay, we'll try.
Yeah, cool.
I think hearing from more people in the industry, is quite key, because people like to buy off people. I mean, generations ago, you'd buy off a brand, whether that's Coca-Cola, and then the likes of Steve Jobs came on and then he bought Apple because of a face. And that's happening a lot now. So businesses now have faces, which is real faces, not Ronald McDonald, a fictional face, or Colonel Kentucky, a real face. So that's something which is really, really key. So more people putting themselves out in the industry is quite good, and the reason why it's so important, not just from a brand perspective, but they're putting themselves out there to be accountable. So, we've spent time discussing things there, and it has to be a case that you do what you say. It's not just words. You have to deliver it or do what you're saying. And by putting a face on it, it makes people accountable in that sense. So I love the stuff that you guys have been doing previously, and I'm up for listening to more. But not necessarily just in my sector, because there's a lot in other sectors where, we can share really valuable information.
Well, I've appreciated your time and love listening to your experiences and your journey so far in a sector that I haven't really been privy to. We've got a couple of construction clients, but it's not our go-to area. So it's great and refreshing to hear that people are starting to change and you are looking at different approaches, and it seems to be working so well as well. So thank you so much for your time.
It's been fabulous to hear from you. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it
as well. I've really enjoyed it. And hopefully off the back of it, more people from our sector would have a bit of time and speak to you guys as well. That'd be brilliant.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.